100 years after his birth and nearly 18 years after his death, Saint Lucians honored the life and legacy of Sir John Compton. This week, the current Deputy Prime Minister of Saint Lucia, Honourable Dr. Ernest Hilaire, steeped in the political history of the Caribbean, reflected on the enormity of Sir John Compton's legacy.
John Compton became the first Prime Minister of Saint Lucia and certainly led us into independence. And one cannot, by any stretch of the imagination, diminish the contribution he made in that regard. His record for the number of elections he won as a leader of a political party is unmatched. And certainly the time he spent in representation in Parliament is also, one of the longest in St. Lucia. So you cannot take away from the political achievements of Sir John Compton. I think, though, there's something about our St. Lucian society that we've not gone beyond some of the political tribalism for us to be able to recognize the contributions of our political leaders. George Charles, until Labour Party came into power in 1997, was almost a forgotten man, except for the Labour Party.
The Deputy Prime Minister was of the opinion that the present political climate and culture is more divisive and vicious than in Compton's prime, whilst he appreciated that every generation views their current climate as worse than the past.
You cannot deny Sir John Compton's contribution. And a lot of people will tell you now the politics in recent times would have changed significantly. It has probably become more divisive, more tribal. But the thing about those things is that every generation says that.
He expressed his regret that partisan tribalism sometimes stands in the way of camaraderie between political figures of opposing parties, whereas that was not the case in John Compton's day.
And you'd hear stories of politicians saying things about each other, but still going on shake hands and having a drink together and cracking jokes with each other. And there's some very noted politicians on both sides who were very good friends and enjoying, a drink and a lime and something. But that doesn't seem to be present today. You almost don't see that kind of relationships in the politics of today. So it's a different time, and John Compton is not of the present, and it would be interesting to it's interesting to speculate how he would have responded. Because if you remember from our political history, the Rick Wayne versus the John Compton, the George Odlum and Crusader versus George Odlum, Rick Wayne and the Star, those days it's different. It's a social media days, and it's just different, and it's more brutal, I think, though, personally.
He deduced that despite his and our ability to speculate, Sir John Compton's era is a world of difference from the one that we are situated in currently. Whilst remaining critical of our politicians and political movements, and with the best intentions for national development, perhaps we can bear in mind that history will vindicate them and us, highlighting the best of what we accomplished whilst considering the circumstances that we were dealt. For Choice News Now, I'm Sienna Dalto.